Genshin Impact. Step into the vast magical world of adventure. The game presents itself as magical with various fantastical and outwardly occurrences. The title implies much more though. Hang tight and I might just tell you what do the numbers mean. Esoteric, intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. The meaning of the word has been twisted in modern pop culture to be associated with many silly, outright stupid, and sometimes satanic things. Its real definition stays true, just as the Elden Ring or the Bored Ape Yacht Club is esoteric in its nature, so is Genshin Impact, and to those with an open mind, may the world of references and secrets reveal itself. While I mentioned esotericism is closely related to occultism, and this game's esotericism is occultist in its nature. The deal with occultism is that it loves symbolism. Since it's a video game, for most people it might seem like another fantasy reference. Sometimes though, if you ponder the orb just a little deeper, you might find something of value. And Genshin Impact is just like that. While it might look a little silly given the anime aesthetics, waifu farming, and the fact that canonically one of the characters' ass was so fucking maliciously fat that when a frog tried to eat her, it choked to its pathetic fucking demise, I still consider video games pieces of art, and I choose to give these pieces fair shot no matter the tools used. There is demonetization, of course, but it's simply nature. Art is valuable and there is money to be made. I strongly suggest actually reading the narrated quests to get the most out of this game. After starting the game, you see this cutscene. There is the good and the bad. In the distance, the infinite sea of pillars, the symbol of the endless fight between good and evil, was portrayed in most prominent Abrahamic religions. For my Western audience, this is the baseline. All around the world though, things get more grey. The game is more like the latter, just as occultism. The more you dive in, the grayer everything becomes, and I think the game portrays it perfectly. At first, you're blissfully unaware of the implications all around you, but as the story progresses, you learn more and more about this place. What you thought was evil turns out to be just another shade of grey with its own motivations. For now, this apparent evil, the unknown god, is winning, and you get thrown back into the world you tried to escape, the world of Tivat. First thing the traveler learns is the elemental system, which sure looks esoteric to me. The four classical elements are heavily used in occultism and alchemy. Wind is Anemo, fire is Pyro, earth is Geo, and water is Hydro. We also get the additional Chinese element, wood, which is symbolized by Dendro, and two new ones, Electro and Cryo. Just as the Pinterest astrology hosts make up what will happen to you in the next week, you might think the names are made up too. Turns out they are derived from ancient Greek. Naming things with ancient phrases is a common practice in occultist, esoteric, and scientific circles. This comes as no surprise, since, their root is usually ancient, or at the very least a few centuries old. As the traveler progresses through this world, they encounter ancient hypostases, which names are Aleph, Beth, Daleth, Ain, He, Gimel, and Zain. This comes from the Hebrew alphabet. Hebrew letters are known to be esoteric, such as Aleph, symbolizing the oneness with God, or Beth, a house. Beth refers to the body being the house of the soul. Up till this point, these might have been mere shallow references in order to add some intrigue and depth. The names of pure hypostases are Siras, Etar, and Besanar, and those are names used in an actual grimoire. They are used in the spell for the creation of the third talisman in the grimoire The Black Pullet. The developers went out of their way to tell you the birth date of each character. As you might know, birth dates are fundamental to astrology. Each character has their own constellation, just as according to astrology we do in real life. These constellations are the upgrade system. In East Asian languages, the prefix for constellation means seat. Since this is the power level up system, just maybe this might mean the seat of power yet to be unleashed. There are 6 levels plus the first one. If you subtract 7 from that, you get my number of days in a week without schizophrenic thoughts, which precisely is 0.
7.
Oh god, no. 7 is known to be a lucky number But apart from that, it holds great value in occultism. Aside the fact that there are the 7 days of the week, the 7 classical planets, phases of the moon lasting 7 days, and so on, the number appears in the 7 deadly sins, the 7 hermetic principles, or the 7 ranks in the cult of Mithras. Following the pattern, number 7 is freely used in the game, just as portrayed with the number of levels in a constellation. There are the 7 elements, having 7 archons, with 7 nations and 7 acts. On their journey, the traveler meets many exquisite creatures. Some of those beings also make sense in the occultist or esoteric worldview. For example, the gods. Have you seen this floating island before? Yeah, that's what I like to call the G-spot, the spot where all the homies hang out, of course. All throughout mythology, gods gathered in high up, inaccessible places. This one is called Celestia. Of gods, there are the 7 archons. Archon meaning a ruler in, again, ancient Greek. Each one of the archons holds their own gnosis, the item that allows them to directly resonate with Celestia. Gnosis meaning enlightenment. Gnosticism is the belief that the knowledge about the world and the study of the divine can get you closer to it. This is a contrast to the classical Christian belief, where it's only required of you to have faith. Gnosticism is heavily connected with the occult, and according to the common belief among these circles, people close to achieving gnosis are bestowed with almost supernatural powers, just like the gods of Tevat. It's also worth noting that the battle pass is called Gnostic Hymn. Adepti are also creatures who enjoy remote locations and are close to gnosis. They value discipline and training above all. That reminds me of actual magical adepts. While not beasts nor gods, they are, in my eyes, renowned people shying away from the public view who, thanks to their discipline, have gone through an incredible amount of complicated tasks and rituals to reach their status. Not to mention the amount of meditation they do. The most powerful characters in the game can be seen mentioning going back to meditating or actually doing it. We also have people born with exceptional abilities, such as the ability to see spirits, or having so much positive energy that demons run away from them. The traveler encounters many peculiar events and items on their way. There is the use of amulets, as seen with visions, artifacts, and rituals. While this doesn't prove anything, I think it's worth noting. It is also said that visions are rewarded to those with the greatest of ambitions. In magic, sheer power of will is the driving force. Power of will is basically supplied by ambition. Now, shall we look at some names? In Hebrew, Tevat means ark. While we don't know for sure, we can speculate that this world might be some sort of ark. Paimon, a spirit from Ars Goetia. Its role is that of answering questions. The deal with Paimon is that nobody knows what she really is. There are the theories that she might be the god of time, since when you stop the game, Paimon is the only one moving, and she allows you to skip time in the game. There is also one about her being the unknown god, or some polar opposite of it, or her being some god of Sealies, these floating spirits, in case you forgot. While in my opinion, which I stole from this video, she is all of them. You see, in Gnosticism, the idea is that from the divine branched out more beings called aeons, creating the pleroma. One of these aeons is Sophia, meaning wisdom. Sophia, trying to understand the unknowable god, birthed Yaldabaoth, the blind demiurge. Yaldabaoth, ignorant of the worlds above him, named himself God, and from the image of the upper worlds he saw in his dream, created our imperfect physical realm. Since Paimon resembles all of these, maybe the root of them is actually Paimon. We can theorize that Paimon might be this primordial one, the demiurge. However, in this Gnostic system of the world, it is said that from Sophia also fell human sparks. Those sparks are able to come back to the pleroma through Logos, the messenger, Christ. Since the unknown God is the upholder of heavenly principles and Paimon is on our side, maybe Paimon has some connection with Logos. Venti, god of freedom, archon of Anemo, based on Apollo. His Goetic title though is Barbatos, Goetic meaning demonic from Latin. 8th spirit named in the lesser keys of Salmon, holding the rank of duke. Apollo being an archer, it is only fitting for Venti that Barbatos appears only when the sun is in the sign of Sagittarius. In Latin, Venti means winds, and it was the name used by the Romans to refer to Hellenic wind deities. Zhongli, god of contracts, archon of Geo. Goetic title is Morax. Morax is the great earl and president of Hell. Zhongli's name is again of esoteric origin, derived from the Taoist Zhongli Quan, one of the 8 immortals. Raiden Shogun, the goddess of eternity, archon of Electro. Keep this relatively spoiler free, I will not divulge deeper here. Goetic title is Beelzebul and Baal, a major spirit from the Ars Goetia, Lesser Lord Kusanali, Goddess of Wisdom, Archon of Danger. Goetic title Beware, a spirit from Pseudomonarchy Daemonium, Great President of Hell, who teaches natural and moral philosophy, logic, and the qualities and uses of all herbs and plants. Kusanali itself is derived from the Pali words Kusa, a sacred plant used in Hindu ceremonies, and Nali, a hollow stalk or tube. The other gods are unknown for now, but we know the Goetic title of the Hydro Archon, which again is the name of the 41st spirit from the Ars Goetia. Their spirit holds power over water and drowns people in the tides. So, called the Golden Winged King, is a reference to the Golden Winged Great Pang, one of the 8 demigods of Buddhism and a guardian deity in Mahayan Buddhism. The name of the Kanrian alchemical practice, which relates to the creation of synthetic forms of life, is chemia. In several ancient languages, the word chemia literally means alchemy, and the practice itself is definitely a reference to the alchemical homunculus, staff of Homa. Homa is a Hindu ritual that involves offering things to a fire. Harvatat, the name, is derived from the Zoroastrian deity. It is named after Haurvatat, a goddess of water, prosperity, and health. And there are many more that I will not bother to name here, since it would make this video even longer. Before we finish, there is one final reference to be brought up. Genshin, the Japanese pronunciation of the original Chinese word, meaning primordial or original god. Doesn't this perfectly tie in with the Gnostic system I talked about earlier? The traveler finally rests. With its many philosophical threads, it's hard not to look for a deeper meaning in this game. Looking at the fact that the game's storyline is already thought out to the very end, why wouldn't the writers and developers also think of hiding some meaning within it? Also, the heavy use of occultist names proves that at the very least they have knowledge about these practices. Hell, some of them even I didn't know. Personally, I find Genshin Impact to have great value, since you can take a lot out of the plot lines, coming to terms with the passing of a friend, reclusion and feeling unfit for society, or the mortal fight against powers larger than ourselves. The growth of these characters is inspiring, and while there might be better works concerning these topics, I find the esoteric nature of the game most fitting. It feels like through the conversations of the characters, you're being reminded of those trivial but such important solutions and philosophies. Through sheer engagement with the world, you're being inspired. After all, looking at those badass characters, who wouldn't want to be like them? If you're like me, you get mad inspired by them, which feels like you are being subconsciously transmitted, and like that, with this game, may your soul get one step closer to the Pure Land, for this is the impact of Genshin.